One of these tank style watches costs just $10 and the other costs $500. Question is, what does spending so much more actually get you? Do you genuinely get a 50 times better watch? Today, we'll answer that question. Hello there, my name's Kieran. Welcome to Top Tier Ticker. I hope you're having a good day. We'll be putting two affordable tank alternatives head to head to see which one suits you better. We have a genuine microbrand take on the tank style watch and a super cheap AliExpress copy. Both of them deliver that classy rectangular dress watch aesthetic, but which one should you spend your money on? You'll find a link for both of these watches in the description of this video. And this is not sponsored, these are just two great watches that I think you should check out. Especially the Sanda tank, it's only $10, why not, eh? Now one of these brands is based in a European country and the other one is based solely out of China. And of course it would be a little bit silly not to acknowledge the fact that the majority of microbrand watches are kind of made in China anyway, right? But this particular one is made by a Chinese brand called Sanda. Now Sanda do make a wide range of different watches, basically anything that they fancy stealing, and of course we can all see that they've stolen the design for this particular one too. However, this brand, Soner, they go about things slightly differently. They do make a couple of different sizes. I think this is the more elegant of the watches that they make, but they just have one mission. They want to create the ultimate affordable rectangular dress watch, using of course the best specifications, which we'll come on to a little bit later. So I think it's fair to say that between these two, most of you would rather wear the Soner in terms of the brand on offer. Now in terms of the cost of these two watches, the actual title of this video is very accurate to how much these two watches cost. This is the Sanda 1108 and currently it's coming in on AliExpress at $12.56. Of course that's before any sort of discounts or any sales that might happen, but I have seen lots of people say that they've got this watch for under $10 when AliExpress sales happen, which are every other week apparently. The Soner, however, is nearly 50 times more expensive. It comes in at $510. So let's start off with the movement, the thing that makes these watches tick. Now inside this Sanda isn't a cheap Chinese movement, it's actually a fairly reputable movement maker. The Sanda 1108 features the Seiko Y120. I've had this watch now for nearly 2 years. I've not had a single problem with it. Accuracy has been really good. You can hear a ticking noise from this watch, which is a little strange given that it's only a two-hand quartz movement. I don't know if that's supposed to be there or whether there is something dodgy going on with the movement. It's hard to tell. But generally speaking, I've had zero problems with this movement. It keeps good time and it's a Seiko quartz module, you know, what more could you expect? However, the movement inside this Soner Amorous is definitely a lot more premium than the one inside the Sanda. Inside the Soner is the Swiss Solita SW100. I think generally speaking, a lot of enthusiasts do consider this movement a premium movement, and that's because it has a nice winding action, the rotor is nice and quiet on wrist, and you do get that nice smooth sweep. So if you're going to ask me which movement I would rather have in my tank style watch, I definitely would opt for the Solita SW100 that's inside the Soner. Now the case, well, that's an area that the Sanda gets absolutely destroyed. Because although the case on this watch looks like it's polished steel, it's not. Now this Sanda is actually made of a zinc alloy. Then all they do is plate it in chrome to make it look like polished steel. If this chrome is exposed to too much salt water or rainwater or just general moisture, this chrome plating will begin to deteriorate and you're left with sort of a coppery, brass, bronzy colour underneath. However, when we move over to the Soner, we see the industry standard 316L stainless steel. Again, on this we do have a completely polished finish, except this time, you know, this finish is actually going to last. And what Soner do to make this watch even better is they actually give it a coating to help with the scratches. But when you compare stainless steel with a hardness coating on the outside to a zinc with a chrome plating, I think there's only one winner in terms of durability. Now in terms of the quality of the finishing on each watch, I mean the Soner is obviously much better because a lot more care has gone into the finishing here. Typically with a chrome plated metal like this Sanda has, you don't really get any quality in terms of finishing. You tend to see a lot of uneven surfaces. Where with the Soner, they are at least trying to create some form of consistency and sort of a nice level of finishing. Now the dial surface of the Sanda, I actually think I prefer over the Soner. It has a metallic finish to the dial that sort of has a little bit of a glittered effect to it, whereas the dial on the Soner is sort of just a matte white finish, which is fine, but I think it sort of lacks a little bit of personality that the Sanda definitely delivers. Now in terms of the dial details, all of those numerals on the Sanda are just printed. However, on the Soner, we do have applied indexes all the way around the dial. And the hands on the Sanda, although they look like blued hands, these are just painted. Again, I think the blued hands look good on the Sanda, but I definitely prefer the hands on this on the Soner. They're multifaceted, they're polished, they just look so much more premium. And I think the main difference between the two dials really is that the Sanda doesn't feature a date complication, where the Soner does feature feature a day and it's framed at the 3 o'clock. But of course we have to mention the actual dial designs. The Sanda is a complete rip-off of the Cartier tank, where the Soner is at least trying to be somewhat original, but they've still done it in a tasteful way with minimal markings, minimal text, small hands. Now let's talk crystals. Now Sanda actually state that their watch features a hardlex crystal. Now for those of you who aren't too familiar with hardlex, that's Seiko's proprietary crystal. So this watch does absolutely not feature a hardlex crystal, that's impossible. But this watch definitely does feature a mineral crystal. Now mineral crystals, I absolutely hate them. I think the worst type of crystal you can put on a watch, I would rather have a piece of plastic, just because if you scratch a piece of mineral glass, it's pretty much impossible to get out. But there is no need to worry about scratches with the Soner because we do have a sapphire crystal on this watch. Not just any sapphire, by the way, but a curved sapphire from top to bottom, where of course the mineral on this is just completely flat. In terms of clarity, I think they're both on the same page. I don't think one necessarily ups the other. Now in terms of water resistance, I just wouldn't get this Sanda watch wet, right? They do state that you get 30 meters on the website. I have taken this watch apart. As I said, it's just held together by 4 screws and a push-pull crown, and when I took the case back off, it didn't fill me with confidence because there was no gasket. However, with the Soner, although it does have a similar construction in terms of the 4 screws and a push-pull crown again, just the quality of the components and the quality of the materials used just gives me a little bit more confidence. Also, the Soner does actually state a 50 meters water resistance, and Soner actually states on their website that this watch is indeed swimmable. Now, the supplied straps is where things get a little bit sticky, because I complained in my full review of this Soner that these supplied straps, they're so bad. They're too long, they're too stiff, and they're just pretty damn ugly. Whereas the strap that's supplied on the Sanda, I actually think is much better quality. And we actually have a deployant buckle. It's one of the cheapest feeling deployant buckles you'll likely ever experience, but hey, it's there and it does the job. So the point in terms of the better strap actually goes to the Sanda. This $10 watch has a better strap than the one that costs $500. Go figure. Now in terms of the size and the comfort, the Sanda does have a little bit of an advantage here because, well, it's got a quartz movement, so it is naturally going to be a little bit thinner and wear a little bit more comfortable. The thickness on the Sanda is just 7.1 millimeters, where the thickness on the Soner is coming in at just over 10.5. 10.5 millimeters for an automatic watch, by the way, is still really good. Case diameter on the Sanda is just under 28 millimeters. The case diameter on the Soner is just over 28 millimeters. And the lug to lug on the Sanda is just under 35 millimeters, with the lug to lug on the Soner being bang on 40 millimeters actually. The Soner is thicker, it's heavier. Of course, that comes with lots of durability in terms of the trade-off there, but it has to be said that the Sanda does wear so much better in terms of the comfort. Both watches feature a 20 millimeter lug width, by the way, so you can pretty much put any strap on these. And in terms of warranty, well, I'm sure if the Sanda breaks probably a couple of weeks after owning it, then AliExpress would probably look after you. But I think after owning it for a year or two, you're probably out of luck and you'll just have to toss this in the bin and order another. Where apparently Soner offer a 10-year warranty with these watches, but having a warranty that lasts 10 years over one that lasts probably a couple of weeks is definitely a benefit, let's be honest. However, if someone put a gun to my head and said I can only pick one, which one would I buy? I would probably buy the Sanda. I mean, the reason for that is just that it's so cheap. It's $12. You could buy this watch, wear it once, absolutely hate it, put it in the bin, give it to a friend. It doesn't really matter, it only costs you $12. But if you do want something more premium, then there are options like this Soner available. But if both of these tank alternatives aren't to your taste, but you still want something similar, then lucky for you, I've made a top 10 Cartier tank alternatives video. All super affordable, fantastic watches. Go and check it out. You'll find something you like. I'll see you over there. Bye for now, guys.